Right, this week on Freshly Grounded, we've got not one but two heavyweights in the building. First up, a baller built for the big stage, born in Lagos, raised in Netherlands. He's made it from nothing to everything. From NEC to Club Brugge, from Championship to Champions League goals. He's rocked the shirts of Bournemouth, Villarreal, Spurs, Everton, and now Girona. He's danced through defenders in England, Belgium, Spain, and repped the Netherlands on the international stage. Scored against Bayern, bagged a brace in the Champions League, and make sure to say alhamdulillah when he hits the net. A man who plays with fire in his boots and peace in his heart. It's his 5th time on the show. This is Arnaut Danjuma. And besides him, the man who made half of it happen. You don't meet anyone like him. You don't meet any like him. And when you do, you don't forget him.
Sounds serious.
FIFA licensed agent, owner of Panthera Sports, boardroom beast, negotiation ninja. He's the guy clubs call when things get serious. Sports radio can't get enough of him. Athletes trust him. Rivals fear him. He doesn't just know football. He reads the game like a grandmaster reads chess. Father, strategist, closer, and somehow scarier in a suit than most are in shin pads. This is Michael Jarman, the real deal maker. And together, they're building something deep. Let's get into it. Arnaut Danjuma and Michael Jarman.
One up. Very good. Was there that chat GBT?
No.
That was a good script.
This is chat FAFC.
That was very good.
How you guys doing? You all right?
Can't
Amazing,
complain,
man.
alhamdulillah. Thank you.
Lovely to have you guys, man. Thank you for...
This might have been the best intro I've gotten so far. What is it, 5th time?
It's 5th time, yeah.
I'm losing count, man.
Yeah, this time we'll give you an intro.
It's the most special one, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's with Big MJ. Actually, I actually wanted to speak to you guys off the bat about both of you and your relationship, because I've been blessed to some extent get like a front row seat to your guys' relationship. You know, like the few times I've been around you guys, like in Spain and things like that. And it, to me, now I don't know other like agents and footballers and that kind of relationship, but to me it seems like a unique relationship and a bit different to kind of what I'd imagine a general relationship is between agents and footballers. So yeah, MJ, I just kind of want to touch on that. Like, what's kind of a stereotypical relationship between agents and players that people kind of know about, and how is your guys' relationship a little bit unique from that?
That's a good question. That's loaded. Wow, where do I start? I think every relationship's different. Some are more unique than others. I wouldn't sit there and say that I have the same relationship with Danjuma that I have across the board with all my clients, whilst the founding principles of me as a person is to care and give empathy and basically support and back your talent to the fullest potential that you can. I wouldn't sit there and say that our relationships are the same across board. So even though Danjuma's and my relationship is quite unique, I'd say all of my relationships are unique in their own way. I think the typical starting point for any relationship between a player and an agent is trust. That's the one thing, that's a common denominator across the board. There are agents in the industry that I think are okay. I think they're good at their job. I don't think they're necessarily great, but their players will ride for them like you wouldn't believe. And I think that's the founding principle of any key relationship, trust. And even agents who haven't done necessarily a great job for their clients, you'll still see them with them to the end because of that foundation built upon, which is trust. Ultimately, it's a very personal, intimate space to work in because you're handling finances, their contract negotiate. It's the most important thing to them in terms of the core services that an agency would offer. Because if you get it wrong move, wrong contract, you're in a position where you can set your clients back. But I would say, yeah, the founding principle of any relationship between a player and an agent is, for sure, without question, trust. Danjuma's and I relationship, it's a little bit, I think it's unique because it's actually, we've known each other for, it was about 3-4 years before actually prior to him joining the agency. We've known each other for a very long time.
Were you with the agency when I had met you?
No, he wasn't, no. Just after that, slightly after. Was it 2023?
I think after that, yeah. But when I met you, I wasn't signed to Panthera, no.
Okay.
And it's been
I knew him back then as well already. So I definitely agree with what he says. I think it's more to the opposite with us, where it's proof of what he says that I had a relationship with him first before I actually joined the agency. So it's the foundations that we have built, they're just built upon trust anyways, yeah. So he was my brother before it, and he used to help me with everything. I used to take the mick with him, as I still do today. I think after that, you start to grow close to those who you trust anyways. And I'm a huge advocate to working with people you can trust if they've got the right skill set as well that they can help you with. I mean, you can trust someone at the end of the day, but if they're not qualified or skilled enough to do or handle the task that they should on your behalf, then there's no use in working with them, because at the end of the day, you need to deliver. And I think I'm in a very privileged position where I think I've got someone who I know I trust fully, who has proven to me I can trust fully. And besides that, I hand on my heart believe he's the best in what he does as well. So I back him fully, yeah.
Hey, before we jump into the rest of the episode, just a quick message to say that if you've ever laughed with us, learned something, or felt that spark of connection through these episodes, you can get access to much more over at our Patreon. By joining the Freshly Grounded family, you'll get an extra weekly show that's hosted by members of the Freshly Grounded team. You get access to our exclusive brothers only and sisters only online community space. And most importantly, you help us keep the mics on and keep the mission moving. So if the podcast has ever hit home, don't just stand at the door, knock. Join the family at patreon.com/freshly grounded. Okay, now let's get back to the episode. Because you like, knowing you hold your circle extremely tight. Like, is
that true? Yeah.
Yeah, out of the ordinary, right? Like, it's like, trust is, I know trust. I would argue that like the two biggest things to you in any relationship are like trust and loyalty, right? And so, you can see, like I said, in that relationship, I actually remember vaguely you first ever mentioning Michael to me, actually, some time back. And then when you mentioned him, I was like, oh, no way. Like, I think at the time I didn't even know you were necessarily an agent, because I knew you through Lats.
Yeah.
And so, and I think I like saw you at a wedding and stuff like that once or twice. And so I didn't realize, like, there was that kind of that nature of the relationship. So it's nice to kind of build that connection as well. And then the closer you guys got, you can see that relationship's important to you. You mentioned, Michael, like that not all agents necessarily do a great job, or in your opinion.
Well, I'll argue that the majority of them doesn't, but
what are those like? What are those actually like independent?
Different conversation.
What are those independent factors though? Is it because like their focus is so much on the business and not necessarily on the relationship, or like what are the individual factors that make an agent bad?
It's not. Do you know what it is? It's not that. It's. I'm all about bang for your buck. So we take anywhere between, it's percentage, it's always basis points of a player's contract, typically speaking. And obviously, as you know, that there's a lot of money in football, and by way of default, naturally, that means agents have the ability to make a lot of money. I feel like our players getting bang for their buck for how much they're allowing people to come into their lives and generate. Are they getting a decent level of service in return for that money? So I don't want to go into the intricacies of what makes an agent good or bad, because I just feel I'm not here to. The industry works, and it's set up for what it is. I wouldn't say necessarily they're bad. I would just like to think and advocate that I'm better. But each and everyone to their own. Some people are more transactional based. They want to get in, do their contracts, and if players are happy with that at the end of the day, then who am I to judge otherwise? Do I feel as if agents can always do more? Yes, I think we have a profound role and responsibility for our clients to make sure that we're giving them, because you've got to remember, right, this is the interesting thing with athletes, and I say athletes broadly because it's not just football players. Anyone who's in their space, even us day to day, we only ever look at things through our own optics, so we only see the world through our own lens. And agents who handle negotiations on behalf of their clients, their players, they have a broader view and a picture of what's going on in the market, because I'm seeing things that aren't only affecting Danjuma, but are affecting client A, B, and C too. And so what you do is you have a more generic view of what's going on in the market rather than just specifically what's happening for your player. So when I used to work in finance, it was called macro top-down analysis. So you start with the big picture, the macroeconomics, and then you break down into industry sector, and from industries into companies. And then that's how you select your stocks. So a similar thesis takes place for me when I'm working with my clients. And I feel like it's always important to start with the macroeconomics. So right now we're entering into a transfer window. We're in it. And I've got to get a holistic view as to what's going on in the space. What are clubs doing? How well capitalized the clubs? What leagues have got? You see the Premier League's got a lot of dominance in terms of the financial power that it has versus somewhere like Spain, which might be not struggling financially, but it's not able to compete necessarily to the same might, or France. France has just had a TV rights still go backwards on them.
Oh, really?
So straight away, you've got to look at the big picture, right? And say, right, these clubs are going to be more aggressive here. This league's going to be slightly more specific with what they recruit for, so that when you're positioning your clients accordingly, you're having the right conversations and not wasting people's time or wasting your clients' time. Time is a valuable commodity to us in this space, and you've got to move quick. You've got 3 months to do it between June and September, obviously, or the beginning of September. But time just goes like that. It's like already 2 weeks is gone, and you're like, wow, like.
And you're here just doing podcasts.
Yeah. Admittedly, I wanted to be here, but I was kind of half roped into this a little bit.
Fully.
And what did I say to you? I was like,
I was part of that because Arnaut was like, what do you think? Do you think we should get MJ on the podcast too, or just me? I was like, get MJ on the podcast. I wanted to like have a deep dive conversation with you for so long, man, because I've been like a spectator of yours for years, man. Like I think there's this concept in the Arabic language called now it's gone out of my head. What's it? Haiba, right? So there's this concept in Arabic language called Haiba, right? Which is like when you walk into a room, you have a presence. Mm-hmm. I think I've always noticed that about you. And so when somebody has that kind of like magnetic kind of energy around them, you want to kind of dive into it and be like, what is it that's made you the person you are today? You can that comes from experience, maturity, but a lot of it comes from maturity.
Why do you think you have the audacity to walk the way you do?
Yes, walk. Yeah.
what?
Well, nobody can hear you. First of all,
is it so far? Yeah. Do I keep it here?
Yeah, keep it close to you. Yeah. But that's why. Yeah. So when Arnaut was like, "Should we get him on the podcast?" I was like, "100%, let's get him on." But I don't want to. I'm intrigued by this this thing that we're speaking about for a second. So I just want to go back on track, and then I'm very interested in the transfer window separately. So we'll go into that a bit. But back to the kind of like the agent thing. This isn't agent specifically, but I was just mentioning stereotypes and things like that. I remember speaking to Arnaut about not naming names, but there's a friend of mine who is also in the Premier League, and in English football. I don't actually, admittedly, know exactly which part. He was in the Premier League or Championship, but he had an experience that he told me about, which was quite surprising to me, being out of the industry. Mm-hmm. And then he was like, "This is completely normal." And so what happened with him is he was given a financial advisor. It's not an agent, but he says it's fairly normal. Like clubs can provide a financial advisor if they want to a player, but they have like their financial advisors who they would like to suggest and things like that. Mm-hmm. And basically so he had this guy who was like basically advising him his finances, and he just said he just realized that he was getting mugged off a lot with like where he was being told to like put his money and things like that. And so I can understand how, like you said, there's a lot of money in football space, and there must also be a lot of people who are not as sincere or who don't have that kind of trust level, who are just kind of trying to get short-term benefit from those relationships.
The industry is actually quite it's quite Machiavellian, but I don't blame. This is the thing. This is where agents get a bad reputation. So my qualms with what separates a good agent from a bad one is, as I said, it's just the bang for the buck. It's like you're earning a lot of money. Make sure you really have that duty of care, not for the sake because you care about your player. Any of this, let's cut the BS and let's just park that and just focus on doing a good job, because you're able to generate a lot of income. So make sure you give that quality level of service back. That's just a standard, handshake agreement in terms of a defining principle as to what an agent should sign up for. But the industry itself, as I said, it's quite Machiavellian. It's not, agents have got a bad reputation, but the industry, I think, this is the thing. I've seen clubs hold players ransom. I've seen players that are difficult and hold clubs to ransom. I've seen so many varying situations, not with necessarily my clients, but with the industry. So it forces your heart to become hard. It forces you to take a more ruthless approach. And so it's kind of like one bad experience begets another bad experience, which begets another bad experience. And that's what creates the culture within the industry. Now, there are obviously wonderful highs as well. Like you said, I've traveled all around Europe watching my good friend here play football. And it's been, we were just sharing videos from the other day of where he was carrying my son onto the pitch, and you got Real Madrid players on the pitch, you got Eden Hazard and whatnot there. My son's sitting there like, oh my God, this is amazing. Those experiences you can't replace.
You never carried my son onto the pitch.
and you've got a bad agent.
I remember that. I remember that.
Has to be earned.
You not see circle. Remember that circle?
I didn't realize how tight that circle was actually. I didn't realize if we had deals. The Suns were going for pitches. Okay.
But I feel like as I said, it's not. I'm not here to lambast agents because I think agents, in the broader scheme of things, they're a necessary part of the industry because their job is to create that liquidity and that fluidity. You've got to remember in a transfer, these are the key components and mechanics that I think the general public don't understand. There's so many decision makers in the process to get a transfer to happen. Yeah. People just think, oh, he's gone to that club, it was easy. No. You've got owners, CEOs, technical directors, the recruitment team before that, the coach, the assistant manager, the players that are going and checking players' characters on each other to make sure they're bringing a good egg into the dressing room. They've got the agents, you've got the agents' assistants, the PAs, you've got the family talking to the player. So you've got the player themselves, obviously, of course. Stuff, you've got the fans. So there's so much energy that goes into just making a simple transfer happen. And that's the part for me where it's, if you get one thing wrong, if you assess a situation badly, that's where you can drop the ball and have a bad negotiation or set a contract up incorrectly. I mean, it's always best endeavors, right? I think I've always approached it with, and I think everyone wants it to work out. No one goes into a deal to say, hey, great, this is a bad deal, but we're happy. Everyone goes into the position expecting for a positive outcome. So that's a bit, as I said, where I don't want to criticize or critique of course. Any one individual within the industry because we're all responsible for creating the economic environment in which we exist. But as I said, I do feel as if I'm not. Let's not bash agents. No. Because it's everyone. Everyone has a role to play to get to a position where that player makes that move. And if that move is successful, obviously. Oh, look how amazing she is or he is and how amazing they are in your team. Oh, when it goes wrong, it's, you sold us a dud and this isn't good and that's not. And the pressure, you're just in such a pressurized environment. It's tough. It is tough. So I think we provide a valuable part of the industry. I still think there's a lot more that we can give in terms of generically speaking, how the industry is set up. But I do believe that we are a necessary component of it because without us, if you had clubs to clubs negotiating with each other, it happens. But it's, again, remember I said how many people are involved? Yeah. Now let's replace those people with egos. Yeah. How many egos are involved with making a decision? And that's key because it's literally my view against yours and then it becomes a conversation. And there's an element of one-upmanship that takes place within these conversations. So they're the bits that I think people don't see and we have to take into account.
Do you think clubs they must? I'm enjoying this conversation because I can ask it I can speak from the angle of just like a layman. Do clubs have almost trained negotiators who come in and stuff like that to handle conversations that are the top tier? Yeah, as opposed to just. Yeah. Because I'd imagine that if they see in the calendar that 12 o'clock Michael Jarman's coming in, they're calling up their main negotiator. Okay, right, we've got to bring someone in for this conversation, right? I was going to get walked over, but is that someone that they have on the books?
That's of course that's a given. I think that comes with experience, but they'll have a recruitment team. So it'll typically start with regional scouts. It'll go from regional scouts into a chief scout once they've identified in terms of player identification. Then they'll do all their background checks on the player. So they'll do their character referencing, try to check out their running stats, their data. They'll try and do a bit of background information. A lot of the time it's looking at, their family setup, their friendship circles, that's huge. Yeah, huge. The level and the issue that you have with it. I have personally seen situations where there's players that don't necessarily like said player that they're looking for, and so what they'll do is they'll throw them under a bus to create an image of a bad reputation.
I can imagine.
Like I said, replace the people, the personnel with egos. But then from there, let's assume everything's good. You got the tick, goes from chief scout into a sporting director or a technical director or even an assistant before it then goes to the negotiator. And typically the negotiations are handled between a sporting director or the chief executive officer. Someone within that department will handle the finances, the financial conversations.
And then, how does it work in terms of the money? Is it literally just like a direct bank transfer?
In terms of
there's different deals. Like, how does the money get shared, like sent across?
the same. Any business. How do you pay for
It's such large amounts of money. It's
for
just
a
like
cost of coffee in the
entering
morning?
account details in.
Payment? Fantastic. Transaction received. Happy days, yeah.
That must be just like a nuts feeling, just seeing like those kind of transactions happen on paper. I remember seeing like behind the Amazon show, was it the Man City one, I think, and they were like in a transfer window, and they were trying to get this deal done. They had like a time limit, and they were like, and it was just at the point where the guy on the club side was just trying to get the bank to process the payment and speed it up, and because it was such a big payment, it was like a lot of hurdles to go through. Like, we just need the payment process, get it processed ASAP.
Yeah.
And in the 11th hour,
I think we complicate very simple things. In the grand scheme of things, I mean, as I said, I've come from a financial background. We're small fish. Like, we are genuinely small fish. Like, you want to talk about, seeing large transactions. They happen every day all around you in the stock market. So
yeah, it's true.
That for me is as fun as it, and as well as it plays out to the audience and the public gallery. It's just numbers being transacted.
I think that's one of the things that
ones and zeros.
That's it.
I think that's one of the things that for me has distinguished him from other agents as well, where he comes from a banking or financial industry as a background. So something that I see a lot of players struggle with is the financial side of things, the financial obviously side of things with football, especially when they're at a young age, or there are many young players that are very talented and they're able to sign a huge contract but don't really know what to do with their money. Now, I've always been a bit conservative with my money anyway. So I remember meeting MJ when I was younger. I think, when I was 21 or something?
Yeah, 21, yeah.
And him looking at me thinking, brother, like, what do you do with your money? Like, buy something nice for yourself. And I said to him, I was like, I don't know, like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm just like, I just pay my rent. I go to training, I go to work, I come back. He said, no, but like, you're allowed to, you spend your money, you're allowed to enjoy it. I said, brother, I've got no idea what to do with my money. There's no idea what to do with it. And ever since then, looking from the moment to now, and how much I've, alhamdulillah, obviously, been able to plan. I think that's the right word, right? Like, he mapped out an entire plan for me, set me down. We came up with a plan for the next amount of years to put some money in here, invest in here. I remember the percentages we went over. We said, make sure high risk investments, low risk investments, put it here. This is what you need. Buy something nice every now and then. And I think that's something where I benefit a lot from. And I think maybe you notice as well when you speak with him, there's an extra element to it for me that makes him a very special agent to have as well. In my case specifically.
MJ was talking about the idea that being around like the business of football hardens you. Have you experienced that, or do you feel protected from that, and you can just kind of enjoy yourself on the pitch? Because there's the on the pitch and on the training and the job that you're so great at, but then there's such a huge business off the pitch. How much of that do you feel?
So I think I've been funny enough. I've been lucky enough to have experienced both sides, because in my career, I'm 28 now. I've had 3 agents, one in the Netherlands, another one in the Netherlands, and then I signed with Panthea at MJ. And so I've seen the other side of things where I've been with agents that
be nice.
Be nice.
Be nice. Be
So
politically correct.
Politically correct
Yeah.
on screen.
Good man.
That haven't handled the situations in the best mannerism, in the best manners, basically. Like, I think I've lost. I've lost a lot of money that I shouldn't have lost. To state it blankly, there's even some court cases I won as well, etc., against certain things that happens in the past. So basically what I'm trying to say is I've had the bad experience as well of the football agent side of things. So for me, it's very easy to put into perspective what I'm seeing now versus what I had. And definitely it's a major difference. It's a major difference, especially for a football player, to be able to just know with certainty, all I have to do is make sure I perform on the pitch. Amen. This is my task.
Yeah.
And I think many football players get caught up in other things as well, right? Because, and it's not even that, this is what I'm trying to say, it's not even their mistake. You're forced to, because if you're with someone you don't trust, someone that's incapable of handling the financial side of things for you, you inevitably be in a position where you now have to double check everything yourself. And it takes time, it takes energy, it takes worry, it takes stress. Whereas I think the best thing that has been facilitated for me is that I know with certainty any given point any given day, any given time, any given moment, any given second, all I have to do is make sure, eat, sleep, train properly. And I think that's something that many players lack in their career. And I think it's something that I tapped into too late in my career.
I don't know, man. Like I've always seen, even, when most of the time when I see you for extended periods of time, it's during these periods, right? Off season, because that's when you have more time. And even in off season, you see that you're in the hotel gym, you're training, you're running. And last year when you were in Dubai, same thing. So you can see that you care about it, but
but there's a difference. There's a difference if you're running because I need to run and stay fit, or if you're running because you're thinking I have to stay fit, I need to run. But it's my contract, right? What's happening with this? What's happening there? But
true.
So I'm talking about the mental side of things, and football is a very competitive industry where you need to have your mental capacity ready at any given time, because it's a competitive sport, right? So you need to be in a position where every week in, week out, you're able to perform to the best of your capabilities. And I'm saying a part of that for me is being facilitated due to the service I receive. And I think there's a huge part in the industry of players that they have got to deal with many things that they shouldn't be dealing with, and it takes away from their performance on the pitch.
Yeah, of course, because also it's like at the end of the day, their life and their career, and they're going to be very anxious about that to an extent, right? And so it's going to be like a scary feeling, and you're always thinking about it. So to have that reassurance that you got someone, or you got a team of people around you that know what they're doing and how they behave and things like that, and what you want, and have your best interests in mind, must be very reassuring. What's it like, kind of shifting over to transfer window now? We're in a transfer window now. What's it like as a player? Being in a transfer window, just like spray it. What's it like? What's it like as a player being in the transfer window? Because when for example, that clubs are interested in you, negotiations are taking place or conversations are being taken place. You're not necessarily, I suppose, in all of them. I guess. What is the feeling like? Is it worry, anxiety? Is it like? How does it feel in general, just being a player during a transfer window?
I think it depends on your position you're in. If your situation is clear and you know what's happening, then obviously it's going to be less stressful than if you've got interest or you're looking to move.
That's a lie. They're always anxious.
You think so, yeah?
They're always anxious, yeah.
Even if it's like a player who's like, everyone knows like this guy's staying here. Or,
every player,
really?
Always, unless the only time a player has never had anxiety during a transfer window is when they know they're not moving. That is it.
Right.
If there is a situation where they've had a good season, they've been somewhere for a year, 2 years, even if they may not think they're going, there is a possibility. And as agents, obviously, we engage clubs that always assess the market. So straight away, then there's feedback and communication, which is sometimes actually, it's one thing that I did very early doors. I was very transparent with all of my players, absolutely everyone. I've always believed that you should be as open and as honest and as transparent. But actually, you start to realize maybe I'm giving you too much information because you can't quantify, because it's affecting you personally. So actually, over the years, I've developed a system where I'm transparent and I give them enough that they need to know, but not enough that it's going to affect them where they're sleeping. I've had situations where it'll be a generic conversation. You're on a list. There's a club that's interested in you. You're on a list. It doesn't mean it's advanced. You're on a list. And I remember one of my players walking in, I'll give him a shout out because he's a good boy, Ilias Chair at QPR. And he called me one window and he said, "Hey, MJ." I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Bro," he just randomly just called me out of nowhere just to have this conversation. He said, "I just walked into the recruitment department." I was like, "Okay, what do you want?" "Just seen the lists that they have for these players." I was like, "Okay." He's like, "They're big, aren't they?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I didn't know." He said, "We're looking for whatever it is, a centre midfielder." Bro, there's about 20 names on the board. I was like, yeah. So when I say you're on a list, the players assume that a list means you're number 1, 2. No, my friend. No, they've got their targets in terms of number 1, 2, and 3, and sometimes those deals can't happen, and so they start to work their way through based on budget, finances, obviously, profile, character, footballing ability, of course, most important. But whichever deal's workable for that specific period for that club in that position that they're in. And yeah, as I said, I'm sorry to jump the gun and take over the question, but players will give you an answer.
Very diplomatic answer.
No, it's not. I don't think it's a diplomat because I believe that Danjuma will never.
Maybe don't realize it yourself, innit?
Yeah, he doesn't.
But like,
he
to
doesn't,
me,
he doesn't
I mean
understand
what
it.
I say, as in, I think there are different levels to it, maybe.
100%, yeah, 100%.
Let's say
yeah.
if you're,
But you've had an eventful few years of transfer windows.
The most eventful. Yeah,
Yeah.
go on, yeah.
So like, how has your feelings been in that time? Because you're like moving countries, you got a family, you got, think about loads of different things, and then where am I going to be next? How do you cope? I'll be like just in a constant state of jitters.
It happens.
I don't know, man. It's normal to me. I don't really. It's funny. I don't really think about it. I don't really sit still and think, oh, how do I feel when a transfer window happens? Not really. I just go through it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
To be honest, you should actually ask him because he's the one that deals with me, innit? But like, with me, I'm just chill. You wait. You train hard.
Cream for some reason is absolutely wetting his pants behind him.
Yeah, go on. You tell me.
He hasn't.
You tell me.
It's not your answer. I don't sit there and think, how am I feeling?
It's true, though, innit? Yeah.
How do you make? And do you just get used to not having? Do you just not make any long-term decisions?
What he says, though. It makes sense what he says, though. As in, there are certain transfer windows I can remember as well, where obviously you're a bit more stressed and you're either out or whatever. But I don't. Is it every window? Yes.
Yeah.
Because you're.
That's funny.
Yeah. No, most like they just won't see it because
Yeah.
I think it depends on your situation, to be honest. Because if you sign a 5-year deal with a club and you know you're going to stay, why are you going to be stressed?
Sure.
Correct. Which is why I said if you know it, you literally have to know you're not going anywhere.
How would they know that?
So I agree with you.
Someone could come and something like.
So the expect. I'm
If
talking
there's
about
a
the
possibility
mentality.
of you moving, you will
Yes.
always be. There'll
There'll
always
be
be.
an,
There'll
not
always
stress.
be
It's anxiety. There's an element of what next, what's happening, what's I think
anxiety is excitement.
it's anxiety.
Anxiety for you.
It's excitement.
It's anxiety for him and excitement for me.
They think the way they portray it is not excitement. Trust me, the way they put us guys under pressure, which is why I said the players, the industry.
See how they
They are Arnaut Danjuma.
Yeah. We get cut. There is, as I said at the beginning of it, I do feel sorry for us. Even the ones that I don't think necessarily provide the level of services that they should do per se in terms of the level of duty of care to their clients, because we get cut a bad deal, man. We in terms of the way that we are seen, respected,
I agree.
handled. There is an element of the agency industry.
Who's us?
Agents in general. So
All of them.
so for example,
You're saying all of them?
and some guys feed into some guys feed into
disagree.
it. Hold on, let me finish. I'll just give you an example. So there is a situation where club wants a player, right? Club calls you up in May. You have a conversation. We're interested in your player. What are the finances? Cool, brilliant. And you're in a position where you feel as if there's a deal there that's workable. By the time said club shows interest and then goes, right, we're escalating it now to negotiations, they want the player immediately. There is no, you've got time to have a conversation. They don't build into a transfer. It's, we want to move in it, we want to go, let's get it done. And it's like, whoa, slow down a second. It's like, because I feel like the worst negotiations are the ones that are rushed. I feel like the best negotiations are the one where you felt each other out, you've gone back and forth, there's been some counter proposals, you've got to understand, even things like you said, players are just told to pick up, move, and this is where you're living now, which disrupts the whole family setup. There's got to be an element of that. What environment am I putting my client into here?
Yeah, there's a human side.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and I just feel like that's the part where it's on the agent to deliver that for both club and player. And you've got to remember there's two clubs involved, a player, a family, friendship circles, etc., and all of the above. So that's the bit where I feel like we are put, it's a very high pressured environment to operate in, and we're expected to deliver results.
And are you helping to facilitate, like, once a player, because they have to move, I remember when you moved to Spain, and the day before you were obviously in the UK, and there was not really any idea of what was happening. This was years ago now. And you answer FaceTime, you're like, but really quickly, I'm in Spain now, and I'm about to go to like the press conference of the guy. I just want to let you know that I'm in Spain now. I was like, and I found out like a couple hours before the world found out, and it was just like,
moving goes quick. It's true.
But in my head, do you know what happened in my head at that point? I thought, logistically, but he's there, but everything's there. Who does the move and stuff? So, are you there like arranging everything now? Like, right. I'm assuming now you have great relationships with movers and
yeah.
Like that.
To be fair, clubs are actually pretty well resourced anyway. Most clubs have player liaison officers, and So it's clubs. The one thing I would say is versus, say, for example, my experiences from going on my powers journey in boxing, where boxers have to literally create their own effectively operation. Football's very well governed, run, managed. The processes are top in football, top. Even though the egos or the people involved may be challenging, in terms of the process and the way the system works, A1.
Boxing is like almost like you're freelance. You're your own person. You're a freelancer. You build business around yourself.
Correct. Yeah.
And you're essentially doing your own negotiations and stuff like that. Do boxers obviously have managers who do their
Of
negotiations?
course, yeah. Same thing, but you have to build out your own team in terms of nutrition,
Completely.
physiotherapists, training spaces, who your sparring partners are. You have to build that operation yourself. Whereas in football players walk in, and which is why I've then said at the beginning, I'll revert back to what I said right at the very beginning of the conversations, where I think we, in terms of what we do as personnel, as agents, could always do more. Because I've seen what it's like in boxing, and the managers in boxing, they're ran into the ground for very little reward at the end of it, because not all boxers get to generate the income that the top 1% do, and that's a bit where I feel like we should always be doing more. It could be something as simple as, like you said, helping out with a house move, or it could be analytically studying the data of your player and helping their performances better on pitch. It could be something as simple as going and just putting in quality time, because I see myself as a bit of a mentor to my players, and I think a lot of players look at their agents as their chief counsel in terms of advice, to get their mentality right, to get their sharpness good. Some don't, some are very transactional based, but that's a bit, I think, we have the understanding, that business acumen, and it's our responsibility to make them understand, whilst you're looking at life through your own lens and your own optics, you are a business entity, and there is a lot happening around your business entity, from perception and views of fans to the way you're received by your coach, and we've got to, they're young, they earn a lot of money early doors if they're successful, and you've got to set them up to navigate and let them know, because I'm telling you now, what he knows now, compared to what he knew 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, versus what he's going to look back in his career and say, he'll consistently talk to himself about his career throughout his life. Maybe could have done that. It's a maturing process. So it's our responsibility to protect them from that and give them that level of maturity early. And that's why I said it comes down to trust early doors, because that player's got to be able to sit there and go, I'm willing to receive advice for you in terms of helping manage my career. Make sense?
Yeah. Do you enjoy the business side at all, or you just don't even want to have to deal with it?
When you say enjoy, what do you mean?
I guess you see in other sports as well. You see in boxing, for example, you see a lot of boxers have a keen interest, perhaps because of the nature of boxing. Like you said, it's a little bit more like you're almost like a freelancer. They have a keen interest in the business side of things, and they actually kind of delve into it. And actually later on in their career, they perhaps go more into the business route and the entrepreneurship around the boxing sphere and other sports as well. How much do you enjoy and care for the business side of things, or as opposed to just the on-field stuff?
Well, I think I've been in my specific case, I've been forced into needing to dive into it because of my past experience with bad agents, basically. So I think in my specific case, I forced myself to
educate yourself.
Yeah, to educate myself basically upon it and make sure that whatever decision I'll make on the back of choosing the right agent, choosing the right people around you, because I think as an athlete, and especially in football as well, you just got a set amount of years where you have to make sure that you perform, you earn, you achieve. And I think the older you get, the more mature you get, you obviously start to look into make sure that you as well have the right people around you that can help you with what you need to grow with. So I think I've had some experiences when I was younger that have forced me to obviously look into it. But I think if you'd ask me what's the ideal scenario for a football player, I think you don't want to be busy with any of it and just have someone you can trust basically. But not everyone has that luxury. So I think in my career, I think I've done well. I think with what I've been through, the bad experiences and the past age I had to deal with, I think I learned from it very quickly, and I think I found very quickly what worked for me. And I'm here today, and very grateful with how I manage my things. I've got my own I'm 28 now as well, so it comes with some luggage now and some experience. But I think I've got this is my opinion, right? I think I've got the best agent in the world. I've got my own chef, my own nutritionist, my own physio, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, do I enjoy it? Well, I think you get to a point where you have to enjoy it because obviously you're not looking after yourself. But I think in an ideal scenario as a player, you don't want to be dealing with any of it. No. But I just didn't have the luxury for it.
Ibrahim's got a question, but before you go into it, I'll
Finally, just staring us down, not saying anything, it's making me nervous.
Before we go into it, just on that focus, Matt, I think that's reminded me of a story that I think I've told a few times in the podcast, but it is pertinent to this topic, which is, you mentioned that ideally a footballer just focuses on, what they need to, their performance and how they perform. And essentially what you're talking about here is focus, right? Because when you're having to delve into the other things, you're losing focus from the main thing. And the story is really interesting. It's I'm going to butcher who it was now, but I believe it was who's the guy, the Microsoft guy, Bill Gates. It was Bill Gates Senior hosted a dinner party, true story, at his house, right? And
how do you know this is a true story, by the way?
the person who told it.
Bill Gates, one of the most largest characters in the universe, in the world.
Told me.
You called him to confirm the story.
It was told by a very reputable source. It was like one of the guys. It was a very reputable source.
Yeah, you went to the party.
Yeah.
Right.
Listen, just trust me.
I did it. Go on.
Bill Gates Senior hosted a dinner party, and there was Bill Gates Jr., Microsoft guy, as well as Warren Buffett, amongst the people. But it was like, room full of billionaires. And it's a very famous story, by the way. You Google it. I promise it's real.
Trusted platform. Yeah.
So basically, one of the things he said is he basically said like, I want everyone to write down what they think is the key to their success, because you're in a room full of like hugely successful people. And what was interesting is that when Warren Buffett and Bill Gates Jr. Kind of revealed what they wrote down, they both had written down the same word, despite having like known what the word was, and the word was focus. So they were saying that the thing they could attribute their career and success to, they were able to focus on one thing and put all their attention to it. So I think every time you do have to delve into, like, for example, the business side, whatever it is, you are taking a piece of that focus away from the whatever.
I think not just in football. I think any sport industry that you operate in the highest level that you can, you need to protect the athlete, and you need to make sure that he can maintain focus on just performing, because if you're in a competitive industry, right, and you get worn down, it will take away from your mental space as well. So even, Luis Enrique, like PSG, they obviously won the Champions League right now.
Yeah. And
I read an article where he said, where he explained the way he looked after his players during the season, because obviously if you're PSG, you compete at 5 competitions in the season. And these players, they don't get any rest at all. You play 3 games a week. So it's just as physical as it is, like, you also get affected on the mental side of things, right? Because it's tiring, you need to work, you need to turn up to training, you're tired, you have to go through it. Like in the games, you're tired, you have to run, you have to do this, etc. You win, you lose, right? It's a whole mental roller coaster. And he explained that in order to keep his players mentally ready always, every single time there'll be a period where he could give his players basically a short holiday during the season, he'll give it to them. A week, 10 days. You say, go, don't want to see you here. Go travel with your family. Go somewhere else. I don't want to see you. Don't think about football. Not even do any work. Just go. Because they work so much throughout the year, you want to give them that you want to give them as much rest during the season they can as possible to maintain that focus. And I think if you look into football as well, and you look to the players that are performing at the highest level, I think none of them is busy with anything else than just performing. You name it. Every single one of them. And I think that's why I'm an advocate for making sure that you've got the right team around you. And I think as a football player, I think one of the most important things, obviously, for you to get right is the agent side of things, because it affects everything. Because they are basically able to take the entire because you need to look into your own team, right? As I said, for example, I've got a chef, I've got a physio, I've got et cetera. But I can shift all of that to my agent and be like, you solve this entire list for me, so I can focus.
I think that's unique to you.
All operations.
I think you can rely on your agent, But I do think I've seen that like MJ kind of goes the extra mile
goes over
in
and beyond,
terms
it's
of
true.
like what I
It's
suppose
true,
is
it's true. I have
expected
to
of
give
an
it to
agent.
him.
Yeah.
Just because one TV, I'll give it to him.
Ibrahim, go ahead.
So I just have a question.
Sorry, go on.
No, that's okay.
Go on, this guy.
Just I have a question in regards to, I guess, the competitions that you've played in, with obviously having a couple of stints in the Premier League as well as in Spain. As a Premier League fan, everyone always talks about, when they watch player interviews, the intensity of the Premier League and how it's, levels above a lot of other leagues that they've played in. But I guess I wanted to ask you, did you actually feel that difference? Because obviously La Liga is also a huge league. But is there that intensity difference when you were in the Premier League, as what people usually say?
That is a great
question for Ibrahim. Guys, straight from Australia, comes in with a question as he lands. Perfect question.
You can tell him the debates that we have around the Liga and the Premier.
we always, we always speak about this. Apart from our unbelievable working relationship, we also obviously we also have these discussions, and we go back and forth about this always, and we never agree. This is my opinion from someone who's experienced it, not from someone who's just sitting in the stands. I think the intensity of the Premier League, if you relate the intensity of the Premier League to its to the endurance side of things and to the physicality of the league, is correct. Yes. I don't think there's a league as physically tough as a Premier League. And you need to have the highest level of fitness and the highest level of being able to endure. What's the word? You need to be able to run 90 minutes. You need to be able to attack and defend. It's such a, everything operates on the highest level. So the speed, the quickness of transition, how quick you can concede a goal, how quick you can score a goal, how quick an entire game can change. There's so many players that are able to physically perform on the highest level that it makes it physically the toughest league in the world. I believe so, yes, and I think it's very intense.
Sorry, say that again. Hold on, it's a what?
I also argue this
What
as
did you
well.
just say? No.
We're just doing it, guys. We're just going to do a quick PR check.
No, what did you say? It's the best league in the world.
No, I said it's the most physically toughest league in the world.
You
Yes.
didn't say it's the best league. You didn't.
I'm coming. Wait, let me finish my point. Can someone take his mic away, please? But for me, something being intense has got different meanings, right? Like you can relate it to different things. I think, for example, the Spanish league as well is very, very intense. But the reason is different. So it's obviously not as physical as a Premier League, and it's not as physically tough as a Premier League. But I think the level of defending in La Liga, the quality of the players is of a higher intensity than the Premier League. That's my opinion.
He's talking about the art.
That's my opinion.
The art of it.
I think
But he's wrong.
More flair.
That's my opinion. Yeah, that's my opinion. I think in Spain, like if you look to the quality on the ball that the players possess, if you look to the way they give a pass, the way that the way that every team is able to tactically defend intense, I think it's the highest level in the world, basically. That's the best way to explain it. In a nutshell, to conclude, I think the leagues are very different. I think the Premier League, obviously, it's a league on its own. It's a league on its own due to many factors. But simultaneously, I would argue the beauty of La Liga. I think many people underestimate the beauty of La Liga as well. Yeah, I believe so. But if you're talking about it being intense and the physicality of a league, that's nothing like the Premier League. That's why, obviously, I think the Premier League has got the ambience it has, the fan base it has.
We debate this.
You can't.
regularly.
You watch a game in the Premier League. You will not find it in any other league.
Yeah.
But I think simultaneously, you watch a game in La Liga and you understand the art of it.
Do you watch the Liga?
I don't think you can find it.
So not really. The only time I watch
this
the
is the
Spanish.
problem.
There you go. All this now, all this conversation.
The reason
all the
why-
people that say, "Oh, the Premier League is da 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 da," they never watch any other league.
No, Ibrahim's a big football fan.
I'm a big football fan. I'm
A big football fan. But don't watch La Liga.
Big Premier League fan, Liverpool. So I was a bit disappointed when he went to Everton online. And the only time I watch the Spanish team is usually Champions League. So obviously I see the quality there. But in terms of actually following the league weekly, that's usually just the Premier League that I religiously watch.
Yeah.
And in Australia, he's watching it at like 2 a.m. He's waking up for.
Our time zone obviously is very different.
crazy, isn't it?
The Premier League is the most entertaining league in the world, I think.
And the thing is, even with us, like in Australia,
Entertaining, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Entertaining.
that's interesting. Oh.
Also, because like with us,
Why are you
and
laughing?
again, this probably goes back to the money side of things. I guess with the Premier League, what they can do in the television rights and stuff, it is bigger overall in Australia. So for us, fans across the world.
Of course.
We would,
Plays a huge
there's a
part.
lot more fans that watch the Premier League, which is why I guess I was curious with this question, because I can say from my bias perspective, but I don't watch the La Liga as much, which is why I wanted to hear your perspective, who's played in both.
He just admitted it's the most entertaining league in the world by default. Therefore, it must be the best league in the world. Thank you very much.
I disagree with that.
We have debated this for years. Every time Man City wins something, it's, see, Spanish manager, look, bang, there we go. It's like he attributes it to Spain. He straight away goes to the most Spanish thing possible.
Big up Pep, by the
So-
way, speaking about Palestine yesterday in the graduation ceremony. Big up Pep, man.
He's been pretty vocal. A few
But I mean,
times.
yesterday he did a whole thing about it at Manchester Uni. We actually, that same stage that he was on is where our last Freshly Grounded event was at, the Manchester one. So yeah, I mean, we've both spoken on that same stage in the same way. So.
Spain in general has been pretty vocal.
Culturally, Spain as a country is actually they're very. It's quite interesting because I like to. I'm not going to get into the history of Spain, but I didn't realise that there was like an Islamic takeover of the south part of Spain. Was it the Ottomans? I don't know who it was that was able to, because I didn't realise there's a lot of Islamic culture within Spain.
In Andalusia.
Yeah,
If you want, we can bring in our Spanish correspondent, Kareem. He's right here.
So yeah, come on, jump in. But yeah, there's an element of it's bizarre. It's so weird because there's an element of if you live in Spain, you need to speak our language, be like us, think like us, talk like us. But then they're very accepting. So that it's almost like I would feel as if a country was very, you need to adopt our way, our rules, our way of living, etc. I would think that they would be a closed-minded people, but they're actually not really beautifully accepting of everyone. It's almost like what it is. I think there's an element of patriotism that exists in Spain, where it's like, this is our country, we love our land, we love our people, we love our language, we love our way of life. But we care about everyone else as well. So we want you to all be happy, and that's the generic feel that I got of the place. It is a really, really nice, open-minded way of living in terms of a society and a culture of people.
It sounds like Ireland is a little bit like that as well.
Yeah, Ireland is, yeah. It's just interesting seeing. That's the one good thing, as I said, I think I've been able to experience through, Danjuma and other players of mine. It's just seeing the culture. That's what's so great about football. It connects everyone together,
very true.
And it's so very tribal, and it's so very patriotic in terms of the Premier League, La Liga. This is the best. This is the best manager. This is the best player. But no matter what happens, even though there's differences of opinions, it brings.
It's funny because
together.
even like I mentioned, us when I was in Australia, and I talked to all my mates who obviously are big Premier League fans too. I would defend Liverpool with everything, and it's like I'm halfway across the world. But because you feel such a part of it, and you are watching it weekly, and then I'll have friends who are Manchester United supporters or whoever it may, Arsenal supporters. For example, in the title race now, it's like you passionately defend it so much, even though they don't know me personally, but you still feel like a part of that.
100%. It's a badge of honour. It's like a tribal, like a community. I've seen people. There's like Man United lost the final to Tottenham recently, and I've walked in. I've got a Arsenal. There's another Man United fan, a couple of Arsenal fans, and Tottenham fans, and it's like you walk in to work the next day, and straight away there's an element of like an air of arrogance within the Tottenham. It's not like we're bantering each other, but they just walk in with their chest out a bit more, and it's like, but you didn't play. It wasn't you on the pitch. Like your team won. Congratulations. Let's move on. But I think that's the business side of me being exposed to the business side of football has kind of numbed me to that fan experience. Yeah. Whereas the fans, the core engagement, the chest out, like and there is an element with the United a bit like.
Do you think there's any other sport like football?
No.
See, I believe the same.
Yeah,
it's so.
I don't see any other sport that connects and unites the way football does. I think it
has to be the biggest sport in the world, is it?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, the World Cup I think is the most watched event in the world.
What about the Super Bowl?
No,
it doesn't even come close.
No, it doesn't even come close.
It's just Americans who watch that.
Yeah. But they're huge. So like,
no, yes, they make it big thing because Americans are great at showmanship. Yeah,
I was speaking with Karim about this other day in terms of the money it generates. So La Liga I think generated like 4 billion. but the NBA, which is considerably smaller, I believe, generated 16 billion.
The NBA or the NFL? Oh, you're talking about Super Bowl now?
I'm talking
Okay,
about
so NBA,
basketball now.
okay.
Yeah. So as
Yeah,
in,
but America
imagine-
does consume,
so
consume
America has
consumption
like
really well.
even
though.
Yeah.
like they're smaller, but they generate
Oh yeah, they're
so
amazing.
much.
With
Yeah.
product placement and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, I'm not sure if they're small, but you assume it because it's just there. Does it make sense? Like I didn't.
I feel like
It's just there, like-
it's
Slightly smaller, the viewership was way less. NBA versus.
That was it.
You need to jump on a mic if you're going to speak, bro. Come jump on Suleiman's mic.
Explain this.
Because we can't hear you there. Yeah, they're having an awful experience listening to this. Just jump on Suleiman's mic. Come,
Quickly
take a seat,
explain
bro.
this. Explain this. This is important.
But do you watch the NBA, Adam?
I never used to. But
Oh, so you don't watch the NBA, but you
now
talk about it.
I'm actually. Don't go up, It's coming. I'm actually an expert now. What's it? I forgot his name now.
It's fine.
I'm actually an expert now. Following everything, Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards, following everything.
Nice.
LeBron James got kicked out.
bro, Kareem's waiting
Dummy
to
dirty.
speak. Can Kareem speak?
Can I just go back? I was saying his point is that NBA versus La Liga, the viewership of NBA versus La Liga, the NBA has way less viewership, obviously because of the size of it. But the amount of money that they generate is actually way more than La Liga. Which basically goes to his point.
Yeah.
The way they do consumption is, as far as finances goes, incredible.
It is.
Even
It
though
does.
they
The
have
numbers.
way
Don't,
less
the numbers
viewers.
don't make any sense.
Kareem Azakri, everybody, he's back. It's been a long time, Kareem, man. Haven't seen you on a freshly guarded mic in a while.
Gonna
That's a
need
good
to
point.
fact check that though.
Yeah, that might need to be fact checked actually. But if Kareem said it, I believe it just because of the way he says things.
Yeah. Correct.
So it's like, right,
Speaks
fine, I
as a
believe it.
matter
Even
of
if it's
fact.
wrong, it's right now. Yeah.
That's funny though, isn't it? It goes to show that you don't necessarily have to. Like, what is bigger?
It's the one thing that I think the Americans do well is they call it their sports dollar. They're like, they invest their sports dollar into a certain product, whether it be the NBA, the NFL, and again, it's bang for their buck. So it's like, what do I get in terms of that return? So in America, I think the Premier League's well exported to the US, but I think they love the Champions League. I think the Champions League is the thing that gets pushed in America the most, and that's where they're willing to invest their dollars. The Prem they might tune in and out of depending on the games, or the El Clasico, Real Madrid, Barca. Yep, okay, cool, but they won't necessarily invest their sports dollar into that.
The other thing that Americans are great at, like you said, it is product placement and marketing and understanding where to kind of make money from things. Part of that probably comes because in the UK we're in quite like a public sector-y kind of vibe, right? Like the healthcare is public and government supports and stuff like that. Whereas in Dubai, I've noticed like a big difference when you go to places that have a private sector. Like in America, there are a lot of things that are in private sector. You start to learn that you have to do things yourself and make money where you can. And so in Dubai, one thing I found really interesting is you can be driving on the motorway and you'll see a billboard with a doctor. His face is on the billboard. And he's like, "Come and like, I'm the best at this surgery." In the UK, if you drove past a billboard and it's like is of an advert of an actual doctor that you can book an appointment with him, it just feel weird.
Yeah.
And you see that in the States as well.
They do, yeah, I've seen that, yeah, it's true.
And I think like recently, you saw it a lot with a lot of backlash. So there's the TKO group who bought UFC and WWE, and they've basically come into both of these, sports or sports entertainment. And the hardcore fans of both of these organizations at first were excited about the TKO takeover, but now they feel like their sport is being taken away from them because they're commercializing it so much. So now all of a sudden, you're seeing because TKO are thinking about the numbers, right? And so any way you can fit a logo of another brand, they're putting it there. So, in UFC, perhaps before, when somebody would kind of like, after their ring walk, they're getting the Vaseline put on them or whatever, they're getting their final checks. Normally, you wouldn't even see that as a branded thing. Now it's like, oh, they're in the, whatever, they're in the Haribo check-in corner, and it's like just adding a brand there.
Yeah.
The mat is now branded by them, and it's like whatever. And same, I saw some chatter on Twitter about the same thing that TK are doing with WWE, where all of a sudden there's like you remember from your childhood like smashing people through tables and through ladders and stuff. Now the tables have logos on them, right, of like drinks brands and stuff. It's like. They're going through like
to monetize it, yeah.
Right. So they're good at in some instances. You can see where they're making money. I'm conscious that we're running out of time for the podcast, but I did want to speak to you a little bit about understanding kind of, you spoke a bit about cultures and shifts there and stuff. I know you yourself, MJ, are on kind of a journey, or have been kind of. I've seen some of it through Instagram and things like this. How much has kind of being close to Adam or to Arnaut been in terms of like bringing you into getting closer to faith?
Single-handedly, I don't want to attribute it just to Arnaut because I feel as if
his head would get even bigger than it already is.
No, I feel like Trezor and Ibrahim, who I'll give special mentions to, it's his core unit, which I'd call him his right and left hand. I think spiritually speaking, they are amongst the most beautiful people that I've ever met, spiritually, like soulfully speaking, and they've moved me. Wow, it's mad that you asked me that because I feel like an energy that's just come through me where it's like, it's reminding me of everything that these guys mean to me. I would single-handedly hold them responsible to where I am today. He will never admit it and accept it, and I remind him of it from time to time and say thank you to him. But I feel like I wouldn't be where I am at right now in terms of having clarity on what I expect from myself, having a purpose and an identity in terms of what type of man I want to be, what type of father I want to be, what type of agent I want to be, what type of friend I want to be, where my tolerance levels are in terms of accepting standards. I feel like everything's become so clear, and it's become that clear through I guess the boys bringing me closer to the faith. So I reverted 4 years ago. It was a hilarious. Can I speak fairly freely on the subject?
Course. You can speak completely freely.
I think we were on the. So I come from a separated household where my dad's Christian, my mum's Persian, so she's Muslim, and I guess throughout the years, I've always believed in God. Tried to pray the best way I could growing up as a teen and whatnot, but just trying to second guess it, trying to find the answers to figure out what's right for me in terms of that connectivity to your spiritual self. And there was one moment, it was a defining moment. AJ was just about to fight, I think it was either at the O2 or could have been Tottenham, Wembley, I can't remember. And I was sitting in the room with another Aki named Naz, who's part of AJ's boxing camp, my best friend, KD, and I think I was on the phone to DJ and to Trezor, and we were just talking and we were like, right, they went through it, they broke it down for me. And they said...
Hold on, this is while you're at the stadium?
This is not at the stadium, this is the day before, before fight night. And they said, do you believe Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was the last prophet? And I was like, yes. And he said, do you believe in the Quran? I was like, yes. He said, but do you believe in the Bible? I was like, yes. I said, do you believe in the Torah? Yes. So you believe in all the prophets that came before Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and all the books? And I was like, yes. And he said, you're a Muslim. And that was the defining moment where I was like, oh, I guess I'm a Muslim then. And then, because I'd already started it, refrain from eating pork and whatnot. And I felt as if spiritually, what a big part of it was, and I'll be honest with you, why I probably didn't revert sooner was, I guess it's the way that the media have got Islam in a stranglehold in terms of I think that really affected me from a mentality perspective, thinking that there's two things actually. It's the way the media have portrayed Islam, firstly, and I think the second thing is I think the absolute level of defiance that Islam has in terms of the submission to God and to Allah's will. And I felt like to be a Muslim, I had to be the perfect Muslim. And I was like, I'm not ready to do that until I'm ready to commit in that way. And these guys, alhamdulillah, brought me in on the journey. Like, it's a journey. You've got to make the first step. So that was the first step. And then the next defining moment for me, where I think I then ended up pretty much so, really starting to pay attention, was we played FIFA. And, we played FIFA in Ramadan, and if you beat me, I had to do more days of fasting, basically. And so there was an element.
It started with one game, though. Yeah,
I think it was competitive, right? It was competitive. He would beat me, I'd beat him.
That's a lie.
Back and forth. Hold on, let me land. And we got to about 3 or 4 days worth of fasting. So I was like, okay. And I really wasn't prepared to fast, and I think it was in the summer as well.
You're following it, yeah?
Can I just say one thing before you take off?
Go on.
I have never seen this guy so locked in.
I'm gonna drag you with me.
Once I got to like 3 or 4 days and I was kind of like, yeah, you know, then he just went bang, 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 just started wiping the floor with me to the point where we ended up having to play for a week to try and get back because I was up to like 12 days. By the end of the evening, I think we were up to like 4 a.m. and he had taken the whole month out. I needed to fast for the whole month. And I was like, oh my
Yeah, we start away.
I rate that,
We start away a day because I was just speaking to him. I said, come on, man, fast one day with me, man. Like we do it together. It's nice. We have iftar afterwards. We have dinner together. So like, I'll do one day. Then we start to play FIFA, but then we get competitive.
Yeah, you're very aggressively competitive. Right? You know this about you.
There's no.
We just put it down to the fact that you're a professional athlete.
There's no point. So I'm playing with MJ, and I go, okay, listen, if I win this, you're fasting an extra day. And he goes, absolutely no chance. I need to do this, need to do this, need to do this. I said, if I win, you fasting another day. I got him to like 20 days or something, and then he's like, I'll do the whole month.
It was the month.
It was nice.
He whooped me into submission. He literally whooped me into, and the level of focus, the way he was celebrating in my face. I remember.
I showed you the video. Yes,
I remember him leaving. His eyes were bloodshot red. It was like, I'm tired. He had a day off, just for the coaches that may be listening to this or whatnot. But he was so committed to making me go, yeah, I've got you for that. And he walked out with the biggest grin, and I've never felt so defeated in my life. But they were 2 defining moments for me that have now taken me on that journey. And it's
fair play to him as well. He actually done the whole month as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, and as you know, like in the world of business, that everybody can have a great idea. So in this case, the idea that you want to practice your faith, but it's action in business that actually gets rewarded, and the one who takes action. And likewise in faith and in Islam, like you have to take the action of actually, reverting. And what's interesting about what you were saying, you said that you said you wanted to become a better person before you like took shahada, right? The interesting thing about that is that, like you said, we're always improving, but the beautiful thing is yesterday we had a conversation, or today we were reviewing an episode that we had shot with another brother who's a Reva, Johan, and he said that if you die a Muslim, because like he himself is Reva, so a lot of his family members aren't Muslim, and he said that he was talking to Suleiman and saying, you don't know how blessed you are that when your family members die, they die Muslims. They've won already. And I think like that's an important thing to take as well, is that like you might not be perfect, and none of us are perfect, but when you take shahada, it's like you could die Muslim. That's like you've got the ultimate W, right? It's like you're on that journey. It's not about reaching the end of the journey. It's not about becoming perfect or being perfect. It's about just dying on the journey. But you have to start the journey to die upon it.
I said something to DJ, which I don't know if he recollects, but he made me understand the importance of what I just said to him. And since becoming a Muslim, I think we were sitting outside at Harrods, we were in a cafe, and I said, because I no longer fear death, I'm able to live.
Wow.
And I just said it. And I just said it flippantly, like just over it. And he looked at me and said, whoa, stop. I don't know if you remember me saying this to you. He said, say that again. Say that exactly as you said again. And I was like, thinking about what I said. I said quite a bit because I can talk, obviously, as you can see. And I said, yeah. He said the bit about death. So I was like, yeah, no, because I no longer fear death, I'm able to live. And since becoming a Muslim, I've shared, my experiences, and I've had some beautiful stories. I've had a friend who said he's crossed over and seen the other side, and he was so specific to what he said he saw. And some of what he saw has been obviously brought up in Islamic teachings. I've done so much research on near-death experiences or people where they think they've crossed over, and there's like a consistency and a pattern to it all, to the point where I'm like, right, I now believe firmly in the afterlife. I firmly believe that we aren't just here as a coincidence, and that there is a purpose to our being. And I think having that level of peace in my life has come about through my faith now. And now because of that, I'm able to live. And so, for example, things that where I've bettered myself, spiritually, I just feel more light. I feel there's less weight and pressure on me. I don't buy into the narrative all the time around what's being sold to us, the consumption. Still like to live my life, still like to have, fun and whatnot. I stopped drinking alcohol. One of my Akis told me, MJ, if you die with alcohol in your system, he said, you could live the perfect life, but you may not be able to get to the other side because you're intoxicated and whatnot. So little things like that.
How do you feel? How do you feel like in your body and stuff? Like having
Great,
really
the best I've ever felt. Yeah, genuinely, like hand on my heart, the best I've ever felt. And what I'm most excited about is there's so much more to come. You know, being able to having the opportunity, inshallah, to go to Mecca and perform Hajj and all of the above. So I'm really looking forward to the journey now, more so than ever. And it's generally the happiest I've ever been. You know, I'm in a place where I feel light.
That's incredible.
It's and I owe it all to my learned friend to my right here.
Wow.
Two guys that are not with us at the moment, but yeah.
May Allah keep you firm, man. That's incredible. It's always so inspiring. Gives you like, sends shivers up your spine hearing stories like that. It's incredible, man. It's like, I think like you've been an inspiration for so long for so many people, especially around you, like with how you hold yourself. And
He is.
That kind of perhaps being the missing piece now being there is like, so incredible. It almost like it completes a person, right?
Amen. Yeah, literally that is how I feel.
Yeah, so that's incredible, man.
This is the final part needed.
On that note, we heard the adhan, which is a lovely part of being in this office. So we'll have to wrap up shortly. But DJ, what's the summer looking like for you, man? Transfer window, you relaxing, you resting, and then like getting ready for going back. And
as we just discussed earlier, I'm completely fine. No stress, no anxiety, nothing.
His legs are giving way to the table. He's doing this. He's doing it. I'm relaxed and fun.
It's always the same for me, isn't it? So I've been working hard, staying in the best shape possible. On that note as well, I think I've got enough experience now to it makes it easier though, because I know exactly what to do. I just do my work every day, make sure I'm good, I'm in the best state possible, best shape possible. What day is it? The 10th. In a week's time, we've got funny enough, we've got a trainings camp planned with one of the things that comes with the benefit of having Michael as my agent is that the company organized for the players a huge training camp in Marbella, 10 days.
Nice.
So I think they're like 15 professional athletes that are going to come out, 15 professional football players and play in the top 5 leagues in the world. Going to come there. Everything's going to be in a football center. There'll be physios, trainers, and we're going to be competing there just for 10 days straight, every day, training twice a day. So that's in a week. So I'm just, as it stands now, I'm taking a break as well. A well-deserved one.
Yeah.
Just chilling a bit, doing the things that I can't do during the season. Coming here, meeting some family, going to some friends. I just came back from Tanzania as well.
Yeah,
which is nice. Went on safari. But yeah, the work's going to start soon. For me, I'm just chill, make sure I'm in the best state possible, and as I just mentioned earlier, we leave the rest to the big guy over there. What will happen in the future? I don't know. I've still got a year left at Villarreal. So as I stand now, I just have to report back at Villarreal. We've got a huge season ahead, Champions League season. Obviously, qualify for the Champions League this season. So I think we start the 7th of July again. So I just have to be back in the best shape, man, and then make sure we can get some celebrations going.
I mean, Champions League is where it's like you just come into your own, man. It's incredible to watch.
That's his league, yeah.
Yeah, you're just like insane.
I said that yesterday. We're speaking about you, and I just said Danjuma's a Champions League player. That's it.
Yeah, it's like your face changes, but it's like you just become like
it's the music
running around the pitch. Like, it's incredible stuff, man. Thank you so much. It was actually really lovely to do an episode like this because obviously we've had this your 5th time on. And every time we've had you on, it's been very like one-on-one interview with you. And now when we spoke a few days ago on the phone, you were like, would it be a good idea to have MJ on? And I was like, but that would be amazing because it's actually really difficult to interview you. And I think in general, like, not because you're English or anything like that, but just because you're a close friend, it's like you have to almost become like interviewee. And it's like, oh, that's just my boy. And so I thought it would be lovely to have MJ on. Haven't had him on. Wanting to have a long conversation with him for a while. And so it's actually been really nice just kind of having a group
It's
chat
nice for me as well, man. So people can see as well who are working behind the scenes for me as well, because I'm able to achieve what I do on my own anyways. I think it's from Allah first, and secondly, obviously, I won't be able to achieve what I do without the people around me. So I think it's nice as well to have an insight in the men behind the scenes, isn't it?
Yeah, man. And I appreciate you always giving me your time every time you're here.
Let's not forget to mention how handsome he is as well. So let's not forget to mention how handsome he is as well.
Thanks so much, guys. This was
Thank you.
episode 389, I believe, of Fresh Ghana. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you inshallah soon on the next episode. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Salam.